All right. Thanks, everyone who's joining us. Nice to be on after 2 wins in a row. Russ, I know we were saying how we were waiting to get a couple of these under our belt, and we did it. And today was a big day. I think we should start by talking about the big news item of the day, which was the return, and that was the return of Josh Carlton.
Yeah. Hey, Carlton had a great game. Good for him. We should talk about that at some point. I know that's not the lead story, but that's big.
No, I'd only been rehearsing that line once I got up like 15. But no, the return of James Bouknight was the big story tonight, and he lived up to everything you could have hoped for tonight in the return. What were your thoughts on Bouknight coming back today?
Oh my God! Oh, it was amazing, and you saw it like right from the first play that he was in the game, and of course you had the putback dunk a minute later. His highlights were great, but you just saw the team plays with so much more energy when he's in the game. Mm-hmm. And for the first time, probably all year, UConn had a lead, and I wasn't the least bit worried about them coughing it up because it just seemed like they were feeding off of his energy. They weren't going to take their foot off the gas at any point in this game, and they didn't.
No, I agree with you. It just seemed like he just brought like that confidence that he plays with in it, and the rest of the team fed off that completely. You could just tell that everyone's game seemed to step up quite a bit tonight. And it was just nice to see him back out there. He came off the bench, which gave him a little bit of a spark after they got off to another little bit of a slow couple minutes there to start the game down 4-0, but never really looked back from there. So it was nice to see him back. Gave us a little bit of a scare when he went down with the cramp there, but at the end of the day, I think a really good performance for James Bouknight, and he actually played a little bit more than I actually thought he was going to play. And if he didn't cramp up, I think he might have played even longer because he played 24 minutes. I went into tonight thinking he'd probably play about 20 minutes, give or take, and just ease him back into things before the Villanova game. But to see him out there when they switched and had him start coming out of the half, it was impressive what I saw tonight.
Yeah, Hurley said before the game that they would cap him around 20. But, I mean, you were able to tell from the start that there was no need to ease him back in whatsoever. And I think when Hurley started him in the second half, that was kind of a signal that they're just going to let Book go. And, I don't think that he would have played much longer had that cramp not happened, just because UConn had it in hand at that point. There was really no reason to, to push your luck with him at all. But Bouknight accomplished everything he possibly could have. And I guess one thing that we didn't talk about when he was gone, but you really saw it tonight, he played amazing defense.
Yeah, he did. He comes right out of the gate. That. Yeah. What is he? He comes right out of the gate, and the first thing he does is pick off a pass there and throw a nice assist down the court. So it's nice to see him be able to play that level of defense out there tonight. Because I think he was on David Duke for a bit too, and it was nice to see him really kind of hold him in check.
Yeah, Duke had a terrible game. And then I'm thinking of that one play in particular when Book was on Horkler.
Yeah,
and Horkler's got like 5 inches on him.
Yeah, and he broke up. Yeah,
handled it. Yeah.
So we could go a little bit from Bouknight and talk about some of the other positives in the game. And I think this is maybe two or three really good games, I think, from RJ Cole in a row. And it's nice to see his confidence. And as I was thinking about it through the game, I think he had such high expectations coming into the season. I think a lot of us forgot he sat out a full year, had basically no preseason, no non-conference, or very limited non-conference, and really got thrown right into Big East play right off the bat. And I think it did take him some time to adjust, and now you're seeing a lot more confidence out of RJ Cole out there. What were your thoughts on Cole tonight?
I think you hit it perfectly. Confidence, and you could see it in his shot. I know he only hit 1 3 in this game, but had 13 points. 5 of 13 from the field, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He had a great game. And, as far as him getting thrown back into the fire after sitting out a year, you're exactly right. The MEAC, where he dominated, that's not the Big East.
No.
And you're going up against bigger, stronger, faster athletes. And, it's going to take you a little while to adjust. And one thing that was good to see throughout this whole process here is that Cole has stayed strong defensively, has not let that kind of go by way of his offense as well. And now he's put together a couple of really good games. And now with Book Night back, they're not relying on him to do quite as much. And, they could play him off the ball if they want. They could have him run the point. He could do a few different things depending on what's working at the time.
Yeah, and he really had a nice stat line tonight when you look at it. 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. So really nice kind of across the board game for RJ Cole, which was nice to see. Anyone else stick out to you? I think we jokingly talked about it in the beginning, and that was the return of Josh Carlton, who came after a DNP last game, and kind of similar to the last time he got a do not play, that then went off and had a really good game. And I think this is the perfect situation to have a guy like Carlton when Sanogo and Whaley are going to get in a bit of foul trouble. Carlton really came in and just held his own today, which I thought was really impressive. When you look at his stat line, 7 points, 7 boards. I don't think you could ask for much more out of Josh Carlton.
Yeah, it seems like all you have to do is light a fire under him, and he's gonna go off.
Yeah,
this was a huge game from him, not just because he was coming off of a game where he was benched, but because Sanogo wasn't a big factor in this game. Picked up a few fouls, and Carlton really did a nice job. And when he's aggressive, when he realizes how effective he can be, he's great. He's great. And he wasn't a liability like he has been in the past offensively. He's not going to be a star, but he's a perfect guy to be able to bring off the bench if your starters are struggling. And he gave you kind of exactly what they needed tonight.
Yeah, great. What you need out of a role player, and did his job there. I see we got a couple calls on the line. I'm going to try this again tonight. If you, as I put in the tweet, you've got to be on a computer. It's not really mobile friendly. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. But let's give this a try. Handsome Pierre, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Any luck? No go there. We'll try one more.
All right, ugly Pierre.
Guest 3, can you hear us? Guest 3, any luck? All right, no luck. No one read my tweet about being on your computer.
In the chat.
Yeah. Put questions in the chat. We'll talk them that way. In terms of just kind of going down the rest of the list today, another guy who I thought had a good game, Tyler Polley, hit some big shots, was aggressive today. Oh, Handsome Pierre.
We got Handsome Pierre.
We might have it back. Handsome Pierre, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on. How are you?
Hi, Peter.
How's it going?
Good. Welcome to the Dimeback podcast, Jared.
So, I hope that you're going to edit this then.
Yeah. No.
All right, I'll keep my swears to a minimum.
So, Handsome Pierre, what was your big takeaway from today's game?
What I really enjoyed, and this is something that some of us have been talking about for a while, is that the big problem we had with Book Out is we don't have a number one option. We've got a couple of 2-3 options. And with Book back, you've got Cole and Martin now can kind of take those complementary roles on offense, and they look so much better. Nobody can key on them. You're going to get better open looks for Polley. It just opens up the entire offense with him out there. So assuming this is just a cramp or a Charlie horse, I feel pretty good about the offense after tonight, and the defense is the best it's looked in recent memory. I mean, they completely humiliated the 2 best scorers on Providence tonight.
For sure, and one thing I like that you mentioned there, especially Russ, we haven't talked about him yet, was Tyrese Martin, and he's one of the guys who's just quickly becoming one of my favorites on the team. He does a bit of everything. He's a guy I wish they've had on the team in years past. He bullies them. You see him get some great boards. He pushes things out in transition. He was finishing some really tough layups tonight. What's weird with him is he seems to miss the wide open layups, but when he's got ones where he's driving into like 2 or 3 guys, he seems to be able to knock them down with ease. But Tyrese Martin, I think, is going to be a huge player for them coming down the stretch here.
Yeah, you kind of got to take the good and the bad with Martin in that way. But he's someone who I think probably benefited a little bit from the time that Book Night was out, in that he had to be the guy a little bit more. And I think you saw him assert himself a little bit more over these last few games. He's now scored in double figures, I think 9 in a row. And he just looks like a better player than he did at the beginning of the year.
For sure. And just kind of looking down his stat line, 18 on 8 of 16, 7 boards, and 1 turnover. So really pretty nice game for Tyrese Martin. For some reason, Isaiah Whaley, when you look at, didn't do a ton scoring wise, but for some reason, he did his push-ups and then bricked 2 free throws. But we got the entertainment value there. But for some reason, it just seems to me that he had a better game than it shows in the stat sheet. 6 rebounds. I think he had 2 blocks tonight. But again, he was in foul trouble, and that's where Josh was able to come in and pick up some slack there tonight.
It was all the dunk. It was the dunk that got him the technical. That's
one thing that I think I'm going to be curious to see if we get some post-game comments on it, and that's a Cook, because he really made his presence known in the Xavier game. I think played all of, what did we get here, 3 minutes or 1 minute it's got him in, and he didn't do anything tonight. So I'm hoping he hasn't re-injured himself, but it's a little surprising to see him get no run if he's not injured.
Yeah, it was, but also UConn didn't really need him tonight with Whaley and Carlton both having effective games. So, Hurley has said over the last few weeks that you're not going to see the Cook that you saw pre-injury probably until next year. So in a game where you didn't really need him out there for extended minutes, I don't think this is a huge deal. I certainly hope it's not.
That's. I think we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it was just one of those situations where
Peter off, or do we still need him?
Any last thoughts?
I was just going to say I agree with Russ's point that a Cook not playing is probably a result of the fact that the other bigs were playing well, and in the Xavier game they were not, and it was a problem. So kind of break glass in case of emergency, but no emergency. Keep it in the glass.
Awesome. Well, for agreeing with Russ, we're going to kick you off the stream, and
yeah, that's not allowed here.
Thanks for hopping on. All right, so we got one guest to work. It's better than we did last game. Now looking ahead, we got the matchup against Villanova on Saturday. UConn's got a bit of momentum coming into that game now, winning 2 in a row. You get Book Night back. What are your initial thoughts heading into that game against Villanova, and what to expect from this team?
UConn's going to win by 30. That's my initial thought. I don't know. The good thing is UConn's won these last 2 games. So as we said on the last one, they're kind of playing with house money in this Villanova game. It's a game that will help them a ton if they can get it. But if they lose, well, then you lost at a top 10 team. Literally anybody in the country can do that. It's not a big deal. I think this goes without saying. Anytime you're playing a Villanova team, the matchup in the backcourt is going to be the one to watch, and especially now that there's that UConn has Book Night back, him on one end, and then for Villanova, Gillespie, the senior for the Wildcats. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I can't wait. Villanova's looked a little shaky. Here they got blown out at Creighton. Didn't look good earlier in the season. Had a couple of close calls. Lost to St. John's. UConn can win it, and if you remember, they almost won it there last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think this is a game that's not necessarily like, when they renewed that series with Villanova, you just felt like they were going to get blown out those games when they played them. I think you go into Saturday with a little bit of confidence that you definitely have a chance in this game if you can play well. They could play like they have the past two games. And I think that the tempo is going to be interesting too, because these past 2 games, they've certainly picked it up a bit. And you could see them, Ross, I really liked what you mentioned earlier. And it was in reference to playing a little bit slower, but playing with purpose, playing at this speed, you could tell there's a rhythm to everything they're doing, which I really think is going to benefit them in the long haul.
Yeah. And, if you want to look at what the opposite of that is, look at what Providence has done. especially in this game. They don't play very fast, but they also don't run any sort of cohesive offense. They kind of pass the ball around the perimeter, and whoever decides to try and penetrate, well, they're going to try to get a bucket. There's really nothing there. And UConn has been the opposite of that over the last couple of games. And now that you have Bouknight there, kind of catalyst for that offense, you're either going to get him to create, or as Peter said a minute ago, you're going to open up looks for Cole or Martin or Polly or anybody else.
What are your thoughts on this team looking long term? I know after that loss, the last loss to Providence, is when things kind of fell off for UConn in terms of those looking at the bracket projections. I know everyone freaked out a little bit, but I think just based on what they've done these past two games, getting Bouknight back, and granted there's no major slip ups down the stretch here, I think you have to be pretty optimistic about where this team stands heading into March.
Yeah, there's no question. Even if they don't get that Villanova game, their remaining 4 on the schedule are Georgetown, Marquette, Seton Hall, and then Georgetown again. If they say they lose to Villanova, if they win 3 of those last 4 games, they're good. Mm-hmm. You lose to Villanova, maybe, get that win at Seton Hall just to be safe. But they're going to be in a pretty good position to make the tournament, assuming there are no unexpected cancellations or anything like that, and to at least put themselves in a position to get a bye in the Big East tournament, right. Which would also be huge. Right now, they're 4th, I believe. Yeah, they're 4th. So the top, 6, I think, are get buys. Top 5 get buys.
Yeah.
So they're in good position there, and maybe they get matched up with Xavier in that quarterfinal game. Another opportunity for a good win, but I think UConn's in a good spot. 2 quad 1 wins right now at Xavier, and that game against USC, and then a bunch of good kind of secondary victories as well, which is what you're going to get a lot of in the Big East this year, particularly where the league isn't as strong as it has been in the past.
Yeah, and I know without fans this year, it doesn't seem like road wins count for as much, but based on what the committee said the other day in that selection early show, their preview show, it seemed like they're still putting a pretty good value on road wins. And even if you think about it, going and winning at Marquette, at Xavier, I know Butler and DePaul aren't anything to write home about, but having 4 road wins, I think, is going to be big for this team. And if they could pick up another one at Georgetown, maybe Seton Hall, who knows with Villanova, still a chance to really build a pretty strong resume here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, having 4 road wins is nothing to brush off. Even in a year like this, I mean, they had 4 road wins all of last year, and I know there are no fans or limited fans in some cases, but you're still in a situation where you're traveling, you're not sleeping in your own bed, you're using different facilities, mm-hmm. You have to get used to a different atmosphere playing these games. That counts for something, even if it's not the same as having 10,000 angry Xavier fans screaming in your face. So the 4 road wins, and hopefully 1 or 2 more, maybe 3 more, will certainly help UConn's case when it gets to Selection Sunday.
And with that, I think it's a nice lead into our favorite segment of the show. It's the Wanky's Yankee Hot Pepper Products Player of the Game. Russ, I'll give you your.
Come on, we know who it is.
Josh Carlton.
Yeah, it's Josh Carlton. Yeah, it's the Dama Sanogo. It's 2 points.
Yeah. They're strong 2
points. What points those were.
Yeah. You know what? It was. I remember it now that you say it. He scored the first 2 points of the game. It was 4-0, and he had like one of his little hook shots that he got to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are always so nice. Those should count for more than 2. No, it's Bouknight. It's Bouknight. 18 points, 7 of 13 shooting, 4 rebounds, couple assists, 2 steals, 24 minutes. You could not have asked realistically for anything more from him in this first game. Played great defense, had that electrifying dunk a couple minutes in. This is an easy one. It's Bouknight.
And speaking of Bouknight, it's nice to see someone put in the chat that it was just cramps, and Hurley said he played him a bit too long. So get
over
it. Yeah, he'll be good. Put some icy hot and get ready for Villanova.
Play 40 against Villanova. That's what I care about.
Yeah, exactly. So I think two really positive games in a row for UConn, building some momentum heading into an exciting game on Saturday afternoon against Villanova. Going to be a that's a fun one. Fox 1:00 gets all the buzz. So excited. These are the games we're excited to be back in the Big East for, crushing Providence and going to try to beat Villanova. So everyone, thanks so much for having on tonight. We appreciate it, and we'll see you after Villanova on Saturday.
All right.
All right. See ya.